Hello, everyone, and welcome to the J Rob Show. I'm your host, J Rob. Now, today, we're very fortunate because we're going to be speaking with former TV newscaster and talk show host and current actress, comedian, and voiceover queen, Miss Rolonda Watts. We're going to be speaking to Rolonda today about her hit Bounce TV show called Mind Your Business and her recurring role on Netflix's Survival of the Thickest. All that and more. So stay tuned to the J Rob Show.
Okay, but now I'm introducing Dan as my new boo thing. So show some respect.
And welcome back to the J Rob Show. We are so honored and we're lucky and privileged to be joined by actress, comedian, and voice-over queen, the one and only Miss Rolonda Watts. Welcome to the show, Rolonda. Woohoo!
Thank you, Jason.
Listen,
It's a joy to be here.
listen, it's my pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited for all the success that you're having on Mind Your Business on Bounce TV, airing Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you playing the great, funny, and hilarious Aunt Lucille. But we're gonna get all to that just a little bit later. But first, I kind of just want to take it back a little bit from the humble beginnings, right?
Okay.
First of all, a lot of us know, and myself know you from your days of being a TV news anchor with Eyewitness News on ABC. Tell us a little bit about that. You know, growing up as a child, as a young girl, is the news business something that you always wanted to do and get into?
Something, Jason, what's so funny is that when I was a little girl, I always had a very deep voice. And I used to read the TV guide with a hairbrush. Most girls were singing the Supremes back in my day. I
Right.
was holding an airbrush and trying to sound like Walter Cronkite reading the TV guide. Before I was at Eyewitness News, and as I think back on my childhood, and when I talk about reinvention and I talk with folks that I coach, I always say tap into what you did and loved as a child. When I was a little girl, I asked so many questions. They called me nosy. Today, they call me an award-winning journalist. I talk too much. Today, I'm an award-winning talk show host. They told me I was too dramatic. Today, I'm an actor. I mean, so all of those things that I used to line my teddy bears and dolls up and walk around with my brush. And my father would told me I was going to be a teacher, but maybe I was being a talk show host. Maybe I was
Right.
doing something that hadn't been invented yet. So I
Mhm.
always say that tap into what you did as a child. I've always wanted to be an actor, always had a curiosity, an insatiable curiosity. And I love teaching. Everybody in my family came from teaching. One of my great grandfathers was one of the founders of Bennett College. My father was the chairman of the fine arts department at Winston-Salem State University. My mother was very educated, two master's degrees and a doctorate. So
Mhm.
education has always been extremely important. And I think that it was my path in theater arts in Spelman College. And when I got out of Spelman, there weren't a lot of roles for people who looked like me. And thank God I had a so-called backup plan, which turned out to be a pretty darn good plan. And that was falling in
Mhm.
love with journalism and went to Columbia University instead of Broadway, but still got to New York.
That's
And
right.
there I would birth a talk show and then I go off to Hollywood to satisfy that little actor in me. And now I'm back in New York and just living life. And I tell you, Jason, I look at you as a young man and you have no idea the places you're about to go.
Oh,
But
man.
reinvention is so much a part of everything. The humble beginnings actually started before ABC. And,
Right.
I love New York where you hear sirens like this.
Right.
But I went to Spelman College, majored in theater arts and English,
Mhm.
got out a year early because I was so determined to get to New York City.
Mhm.
Went to a Columbia University, the Graduate School of Journalism. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I was not there to be a journalist. I was there just to be in New York City so I could audition for Broadway and my parents leave me alone. I went, yeah, truly. I went to
Right.
one cattle call. I said, I cannot do this. I'll be back when you know my name. And so I went back to Columbia and fell in love with journalism and took off from there. But when I finished 10 years of anchoring the news at WABC, WNBC, Inside Edition, then the Rolonda show, talk shows. When all of that was done, I said, you know what? I'm going to go satisfy that 12-year-old girl who used to wear a subway token around her neck that said New York City, good for one fare. After I saw Guys and Dolls on Broadway, I'm going to go be that actor. And I took off to Hollywood. And so my first job was playing Vivica on Sister Sister.
All
And
right, I
you know,
remember.
from there on, and now here we are with Mind Your Business and Survival of the Thickest. You know, when you live this long, there's a lot to squeeze in.
There's a lot to squeeze in. No, no, it's good. I've watched people like yourself be so successful. I mean, there were many people and definitely women of color. I remember you and Sue Simmons and maybe a few others, but not a lot. And you did the job so well. And it really was very inspiring. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done in this whole media industry. But it was very, very impressive. So I definitely want to give you your kudos and give you your love and your flowers.
Well, Jason,
So,
I'm going to give you my love and some of my flowers to you because you followed into those footsteps well. You know, back in the day, there were not very many of us. And if another person who looked like you came in the newsroom, we were like, okay, which one of us has got to go?
This is Channel 7 Eyewitness News with Jay Scott and Rolonda Watts, Scott Clark with sports, Bill Evans with the weather, and the Eyewitness News team. Now, Eyewitness News.
Been a grueling day for jurors in the Bensonhurst murder trial as they plan to continue deliberating.
Every day when I sat on that anchor desk, and this was back in the 1980s, and when I sat on that anchor desk and I put that microphone on, I did it for every person who had been told that Black women are not articulate, that Black women are not pretty, that Black women can't hold a national job, that they can't, every single stereotype of anybody who thought anything about Black women would be dispelled right there on the 6 o'clock news. And that was very important to me. I look back and the blood, sweat, and tears were worth it, Jason. If you're doing the wonderful work that you're doing, and if I inspired you in any way, oh, baby, let me give you your young flowers, okay?
well, well, listen, I thank you so much because, and I always want to ask you too, coming from the news and then transferring to getting your own talk show, were you scared making that transfer into talk television where it was so competitive? You had a lot of giants at that time in the 90s, like everybody had a talk show. Were you scared transferring into that world of talk show television?
Jason, I didn't want to do a talk show.
Oh,
Roger King, who is still in his heaven space, is still the number one sellingest human being in television history. He had been trying to get me to do a talk show for 5 years before I agreed to do it because I was a journalist. I wasn't doing a talk show. And plus, he had
right.
an Oprah. What did he need me for? And so he had been trying to get me to do a talk show for a very long time. So I didn't want to do it. But then he came to me and he said, listen, I'm in trouble. My ratings are failing. I've got a show that isn't making it. I don't want to lose my time slots. I don't want to lose my face. And Oprah's threatening to leave. So I need you to come in here, and you're the only person I know who can do live TV. I'd had Emmy nominations for live coverage, which was very new at that time. Nobody was doing live. Well, Eyewitness News was. That's why we were
Right.
number one. But we were killing it. And he said, I know you can come out of that news background and come and save this time slot, basically, for me. We didn't know what show we were doing.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day he called me and he said, Rolonda, I know what we're going to call this show because I need you on the air in 2 weeks. We didn't have a pilot. We didn't have test, anything. He said, I need you. I said, Roger, I was on Inside Edition at the time. I was senior
Okay.
correspondent, weekend anchor, and producer. I said, I'm
Mhm.
on my way to DC. I'm about to go cover a murder story. I can't go do your little talk show. He goes, no, you go cover the murder story, and then you get back here and you're going to do the talk show. So I was doing Inside Edition in one studio and would take off the microphone and cross the hall and go do what the Rolonda show. We didn't know what it was going to be. I think we
Wow.
were about 8 different shows before we figured out.
Right, right.
But really, what gave us the strength was the journalistic background that we were bringing to talk that nobody else was doing. Nobody else had the journalistic background. Maybe Geraldo, but they were throwing chairs. We were doing something very different.
Right, yeah,
And
right.
then when it got too crazy, after four wonderful seasons, because we got kids out of gangs, man. We got
Yeah.
we talked about race. Nobody was talking about race back then. We had the whole
No.
KKK and the skinheads on the show.
Yes, I
Had
remember, yes.
Flip Wilson, the number one person, James Brown, who proposed to me on the show. We did great stuff and we concentrated on families in crisis, transgender people, gay people. We were the fiercest freaking show in the 90s. Don't get it wrong. I want you to
Don't get
know.
it twisted now.
Don't get it twisted now.
Credit Rolanda's media magic with a career evolution that spun her from the theatrical stage into the gritty world of hard news reporting.
But we were very much ahead of our time. And I think it was the fact that we were able to handle really tough stories. We were the only talk show that had a seat in the O.J. Simpson trial. And it's hard to believe, Jason, that was 30 years ago.
With this sea of reporters, hundreds of reporters and photojournalists from all over the world covering every move of this courtroom drama, it's hard to escape all of the publicity. And that raises the question, can O.J. Simpson really get a fair trial?
Coming from the news anchor and then actually getting your own talk show, and now you are also an amazing actress. And I'm so excited for all of the work that you are doing on Mind Your Business on Bounce TV. Yeah, on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please tell all of my viewers who may not know what the show is all about and about your character, Aunt Lucille.
Jason, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about this show because I've done a lot of sitcoms, but this one is just so special. It's called Mind Your Business, and it's about Lucille. I'm Lucille Williams. Everybody answers to me, and they would say, "The hell we do." But it's about my crazy ass family. And
Right.
I am Lucille, who had a lounge in Chicago, an adults lounge. But when COVID hit, the business started going south. And I'm like, this is my generational wealth movement. I am not losing this business. So my
Right.
brother, who was played by BB Winans, says, let me bring in my twin kids. One is good at business. The other needs to be good at business. We'll bring them in, who is played by Columbus Short and Drew Sidora. And they come in to help Auntie save the business. And Auntie also moves in with my nephew, who is Columbus Short,
Okay.
and his wife, Karen Ward, and also the children who are Bryce Xavier and Chloe Ellis. And we are having a ball. This is the crazy family. I think we need referees more than anything. But it's about a family where Lucille is the matriarch, but she's still a woman of a certain age, but she's got sass. And her two best friends, Kiki Shepard and Donna,
Okay.
Donna Carroll. We
Uh,
play the Silver Sneakers. It's just a beautiful generational comedy. We are
yeah.
trying to bring back old family, good comedy, like family stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
so happy that an auntie this time is being
Yes.
celebrated. I ain't nobody's grandma.
No,
Look,
yeah, not that. Nope.
be all that. I am that auntie, and I tell
Right.
it like it is, and I'll read anybody in a minute. But I also am been humbled by the younger generation because they know
Okay.
my auntie has a wild hair and gets a little crazy. But the younger generation is always giving me great advice. Brayley Evans is also in it, who plays my adopted or our adopted family. She's a little girl who probably lived next door to us in Chicago. So it's all about my nieces and nephews and great niece and nephew and them helping me save the business and let me live with them while we do it.
And that is so funny. And one of the funniest topics that you guys cover on the show is older women dating younger men, right? And it is so hilarious. And I want to get your take on it. Like, what do you feel about, and what do they call the cougars? It's cougars.
They call it cougarsandcubs.com.
Cougarsandcubs.com, right? You don't really hear a lot of people talking about when the older men are dating the younger women and they call them sugar daddies. For some reason, that is all fine, right? But what do you feel about the discrepancy between older women dating, younger men versus older men dating, younger women? Like, what's your take on that? Because you guys cover it great on the show. So I
Well,
just want to
Jason,
get your
you're
feedback.
right. Nobody says anything about an older man dating a younger woman. In fact, they go, 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 go.
Oh, that's
But what
true.
if, let's say that the 60-year-old guy is dating the 38-year-old girl. I mean, that's like, oh, the perfect couple. But if it's a 68-year-old woman dating the 30-year-old guy, it's like, oh my God. But you know what? I got to look at Cher. I got to look at Madonna. And I'm the third woman known by one name, Rolonda.
There
You
you
remember
go.
Al, be sure. I had my days. But I think that sometimes, most of the guys my age, and I just turned 66 this year, okay?
All right.
So most of
Happy
the guys,
belated birthday.
thank you. But most of the guys my age, Jason, aren't interested in me. They want that 40-year-old girl, even 50. It blows me away that I could date a 60-year-old man and be a cougar still. And I tried the cougar thing, but I think I'm at a point in my life where I am so happy being solo. I really, really am. And the younger crowd, I don't understand the music. Half the words I hear, I wouldn't say in the bathroom by myself, okay? Body parts they talk about, like, damn, that's on the airwaves.
Exactly, right?
I don't understand half the words half of them say. And
Right.
God dog it, pull up your damn pants. I can't deal with it. I can't. I can't. If I'm gonna date, I better decide it quick. But I think I'm okay just by myself.
Let's be by ourselves. We'll love ourselves. And if the right one comes along, then the right one comes along. What's meant to be will be.
Will
That's how
be.
I look at it.
I'm with you, Jason.
What would you say is the most important part and the most rewarding part about doing Mind Your Business? And what would you say is the one message that you would like all the viewers to get from your show?
Well, I think it's just seeing a family operating together. Now, we're not perfect and we don't get along most of the times. We're battling on one end or the other. But at the end of each episode, there's an apology, there's an explanation. We communicate and we understand that we're all quirky individuals. And I think that that's what the audience loves is that each one of the seven characters are so different and there's combustion, but at the end of the day there's love. I really love the topics we're covering in
Yeah.
this. Well, endometriosis we just covered. Even a woman looking for love in all the wrong places. Aunt Lucille being a cougar but reclaiming her life as a woman, just not being an old lady matriarch, but having a life and some sex and pizzazz and sass. We cover the children being afraid their parents are going to get a divorce. We
Yeah.
cover the bromance when two guys are so busy hanging out, the girls get left out. I mean,
Yeah.
just crazy topics, but we deal with things that people are really talking about in their homes. Like, how do we teach our African American history to our children? How do we deal with endometriosis when we're women? How do we deal with marriages when we're everybody? So it's just real good stuff. And just when you're about to delve into something really deep, boom, we hit you with a good laugh.
Yeah.
And it's just really bringing back good family sitcoms.
Yeah.
There's nothing raunchy about it, but we still have some little fun moments.
Yes.
And even the old matriarch isn't an old matriarch. She's a sassy, cougarish type woman who has
Right.
wild hair. And I also love so much about the show is our intergenerational love
Mhm.
that the young nieces are helping me navigate life and my age. They're helping me kind of keep up with the thing.
Mhm.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think the intergenerational aspect, the fact that it's a good family working to save intergenerational wealth is so important. And teaching our history that we may not be able to learn in public, but in private, our home is not only about our passing on wealth and our legacy, but passing on our beautiful history as well.
And it's so important you say that because so many young folks are always learning from their parents and the older generation, obviously, because they have a lot to teach us. But you don't really think about the older generation learning from the younger generation. So I like how Mind Your Business actually encompasses all of that, where both generations can teach each other and they can learn from one another, which is amazing. So I'm glad that your show really highlights that because that's very important because people don't really think on that level so much.
Absolutely. And you know something, and I'm so happy it's an auntie. It's not a
Yeah, right, right.
grandmama or the mama. Honey, I am that auntie.
Uh-huh. Boom, boom.
And I really am in life that auntie. So it's
Right.
really nice to portray that in a sitcom. And
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. You're also on Netflix's what, Survival of the Thickest. Tell us
Survival of
about.
the Thickest. In that role, I play Adrian Holland, who, if you
Okay.
follow the show, I'm Khalil's crazy mama,
Oh.
Khalil's irresponsible mother. She doesn't pay her taxes. She buys nail salons and goes
Uh-huh.
to Disneyland as opposed to being reasonable. I mean, she's crazy. She's the reason that Khalil is probably in therapy this season. But she's a wonderful, delightful character, and there's such chemistry working with Tone Bell, who is my son, and a
Mhm.
wonderful comedian,
Yeah.
and the wonderful Michelle Buteau. It is just amazing. She's doing amazing things for women and queer folks and people of color,
Yeah.
and Netflix loves her, and she got a third season. So
That
she's
is
doing something right.
that is amazing. I was watching a clip where the gentleman who plays your son on the show, his friend was trying to talk to his character, and I'm like, that's a no-go. Our friends cannot try to talk to our mother. It doesn't matter how bad she is, how beautiful she is. That's a negative. No way. And that
But
was
wait a
hilarious.
minute. But Adrian, Khalil's mama, hit on him first. She was like,
Well, it doesn't matter.
Mommy, you had a few friends. I mean, she is like too many things. He's like, Ma.
I'm gonna tell my mom that's not happening, and I'm gonna tell my friend I'm gonna kick your butt. I'm sorry, you don't even try.
Listen, I told Michelle, I said, Michelle, if in season 3, I think the older generation needs to have sex
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
with somebody.
yeah, right with
Somebody.
somebody. That is amazing. It's such a great show, so funny as well. You're doing so much. You've delved back into the talk show world. You are doing voiceover work on the hit show, the talk
Scary.
show Sherry Show.
Everybody was like trying, like Rolonda Watts. It was like your name was tied to Hollywood's finest, Rolonda Watts.
How did you get that doing voiceover work? But
In a
it's
different
amazing.
kind of way. Well, you know what? My voice is so recognized in daytime. I mean, I'm the voice of daytime, having been in the business for 40 years now.
Yeah.
And I just got an Emmy, the Silver Circle Award from the National Association of Television Artists and Television Science. But anyway, it's a fancy Emmy, and it's really wonderful for 40 years of contribution to daytime television. And a lot of it was my voice work, whether it was Curious George playing Professor Wiseman or doing Divorce Court and Judge Joe Brown, now The Sherry Show. But let me tell you how that job comes along. And y'all, this is such an important story about relationships as well. John, who is the executive producer of Sherry, I think he was in high school or college when he first came to my show.
Okay.
And we let him in. You know, they were a little young, they were on the cusp, but we let him in and it blew his brain away. He was like, I got to do television.
Yeah.
So later he comes back to my show, and then he comes back, and this time I have him on the show because I wanted him to see what it was like to be a guest and how the producers work and how they fly you in and do the whole thing.
Yes.
Skip to John does his own life. He's on television. He's getting his thing together. We've inspired him. He's out there doing it.
Right.
And then he becomes the executive producer of the Sherry Show. And he and Sherry decided there was no other voice that was going to introduce Sherry when she came out except the legend, Rolonda, because, and it is true, I'm going to receive those flowers because
Yeah.
we fought like hell, blood, sweat, and tears. You have no idea what we were going through behind the scenes to make sure that the Sherrys and the Tamarins and even the Kellys and the
Yeah.
and the Drews and the Jennifers, that everybody came along and could have an opportunity. And we fought like hell and put up with a lot of shit. But she
Right.
makes gardens grow, and they are the beautiful roses from all the shit that we went through. So it's just a beautiful way to see how the circle has completed itself. And
Yes.
so now John is my boss. And
Okay, great, great.
we lit on the show, and now he's my boss.
Exactly. You'd be like, sorry, John, I known you from back then. You ain't
I
telling me nothing.
know. I tell you, and to win the Emmy, the Silver Circle Award is just, It's amazing. You never know. So I always tell people, you never know where your life is going to take you. When I was a reporter, I didn't know I'd be a talk show host. When I was a talk show host, I didn't know I'd be an actor. When I was an actor, I didn't know I'd be a comedian.
Mhm.
So just live your life and do the things that made you happy as a kid, and that's where you'll find the beginning of your purpose.
That's for sure. And you're also doing your love as well, which is comedy, right? You're also touring. You do your comedy dates. What is it about comedy that you love so much? Because I hear that's like the hardest job in America, like literally making people laugh today, especially in this crazy world that we're all going through today. It's one of the hardest jobs out there. How do you make people laugh? How do you do that job with such ease?
Comedy is the hardest form of theater. It is the hardest form. And I think that is what has always inspired me. When I was a theater arts major at Spelman College, my specialty or my concentration was comedy,
Mhm.
doing Guys and Dolls and Pippin and all of those musical theater.
Yeah.
But comedy has always been something I'm drawn to. I think that because I love storytelling so much. And the funnier the story, the better you communicate with people, I think. I remember when I was doing my talk show, I'd be so envious of the stand-up comedian who got to warm up the audience. And
Mhm.
I would play with the audience in between the commercial breaks, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think more than ever, this is a time when people need to laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that, my journalism helps my writing to stay tight, but my journalism also helps me tell stories of truth.
Mhm.
And what's sometimes funny is hurtful truth. Just truths are funny.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
it's really about storytelling. I've done 50 million different things and they call me the reinventionist. But the one common thread of all the things that I do is storytelling.
Mhm.
And I love telling stories that make people laugh, that make them spit out their coffee, that make them brouhaha and hit elbow the person next to them. And I think
Mhm.
that's a wonderful way of connection and community at a time when we don't even eyeball each other in a coffee shop.
Everything you've done from as a newscaster to acting to comedian, your voiceover work, is there any one of those fields that if you had to choose, you would choose, you know what? I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. Or is it just like you just love them all?
Well, I love them all. And it's like saying I have a child that's favorite, but everybody knows they have a favorite child. So
Right.
So forget that. I'll be honest with you. I love everything that I do, but I really miss writing. I wrote a novel called Destiny Lingers,
Oh.
which is an interracial love story.
Ooh.
Good story. It's juicy. And Dr. Maya Angelou endorsed it.
Ooh.
And I miss writing.
Okay.
But I think I love my voice work. If I could just do a bunch of voice work and be a millionaire, that would be wonderful. But
Very lucrative, right? It's very lucrative.
plus, it's a job you do in your pajamas
It's
and
your
no
job.
glasses. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
That I really love. I love but then, then I miss, people want me to bring my podcast back. I was doing podcasting back with Blog Talk Radio, and I was like, we couldn't figure out how to make money. Now everybody's making
And
money.
everybody got a podcast.
I'm like, oh Lord, I
Yeah,
was so
right. Lordy,
ahead of my
Lordy.
time.
Wow.
But you know what? Any form of storytelling and where it's needed. And I often pray, I say, God, lead me where you need me. And I can hear my ancestors resonate and let her be a leader where you need her.
Yeah,
So I am open to wherever God has me going next. And
yeah.
I
Well,
let him lead the way.
well, listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I want to ask you, like, please let my viewers know, like, where they can follow you on social media because you're doing everything. You know how they say the jack of all trades, the master of none? You are the jack of all trades and the master of all because you
Every
keep
one of
doing
them.
it. Yeah, there you
Listen,
go.
do it well or go home. Do it
Exactly,
big or go home.
exactly.
And really, folks, it's important that you strive for excellence. And the things that I do that I'm good at is because I've studied them. I've taken workshops. I didn't just stand up being a stand-up comedian. I took workshops.
Mhm.
I didn't just stand up being an actor. I have a degree in acting. I didn't just stand up being a reporter. I have a master's degree in the science of journalism from Columbia University. I
Mm.
didn't just stand up. It takes work. You
Mhm.
just don't show up to throw up.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you show up to glow up, but you do that when you really, really study your craft. Whatever it is that you want to do, invest in yourself and invest in your craft. I will say that. And speaking of that, for
Yes.
those of you who want to be a voice actor, I have a marvelous voice acting master class, and I'm offering some very special new classes coming up this fall.
Mm.
So I hope that you'll check it out at rolonda.com.
Ooh.
ROLONDA.com. There's an O in the middle, not Rolonda.
I love it.
You can sign up for my free webinars if you're just kind of like checking out what voice acting, voiceover is all about. And if you are just serious and ready to get down, then please go to my Rolonda.com. And you know what, Jason, just because I'm feeling this right now,
Yeah, go ahead.
if your listeners who are interested in voice acting
Ooh.
use the code
Mhm.
VoiceFam, all capital, like
Okay.
family,
Yeah.
VoiceFam 15,
Ooh.
you will get 15% off. It's a 6-week intense digital class, so you do it at your leisure.
Okay.
But take advantage of that discount and get ready whether you want to do it for the end of the summer or you want to kick off fall, come on,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Listen. I'm gonna call you up on that too. I'm interested in that because I've never
Well,
done voiceover work. I would
oh
love
my
to do it.
God. Listen, you got to do it. And I tell all my actor friends,
Mhm.
when everything went on strike for the physical actors, the voice actors were still working. You've got to have a backup plan. Podcasters,
Yes.
voice actors, speakers, use your voice in voice acting as well. And I can tell you all about the different genres, how you can set up your own studio in your closet, and you can work from anywhere, anytime. It's the most wonderful career in the world, I tell you. Yeah.
Wow.
If
I
I'd have
feel
known about voice acting, y'all might have never seen me on TV 40 years ago.
and I feel the passion there. Well, I'm glad that we did see you on TV, man. You introduced us to so many of your talents. So it would have been a crime if we didn't get to see you on TV. So I'm glad we did. Well, listen, I am so happy for all of your success. So is there anything coming up next that the viewers should be on the lookout?
Please follow me on all forms of social media at Rolonda Watts, ROLONDA Watts, WATTS. And then you can find out where my next stand-up comedy shows are going to be. I do comedy in Harlem. I'm at the Comedy Village. I do the comic strip. That's New York. I'm going to be in December out in Los Angeles, opening for Lunel at Flappers.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I love stand-up comedy. It's such a great craft. And it's like, all of these different things, Jason, you use a different set of muscles.
Okay.
And it's just wonderful to go from different crafts. I mean, I just study each one of them as a craft and an art form. And comedy, you just can't beat it. And whether you put it in a sitcom or you put it in your writing or you put it on stage as a stand-up comedian, there is nothing more fulfilling. And I don't think anything more God sent than the gift of tickling somebody's laughter and laughing bone and make them laugh.
Yes, you make them laugh. All the stress we go through during the world and during the work week, and we come home and the weekends we get to go to a comedy show and get to see the great Rolanda and just laugh. It just warms your heart and just makes you feel better and alleviates a lot of the stress that we carry on our shoulders every day. So I think it's the best form of medicine that anyone could ever receive. So thank you for giving your gift of comedy to the world.
You are so welcome, Jason. Jason, I've had a good time with you today.
Yes, thank you so much. And viewers, please make sure you check out Rolanda on Mind Your Business on Bounce TV on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will definitely tune in every week. Thank you so much. You've been the best guest that I've had and spoken to in a very long time. So thank you so
Oh
much.
my goodness, you've had some mighty important guests, so I'm gonna take that as a major compliment.
Well, it's a fact. It's a fact.
And watch Sherry every day, y'all, and listen to me saying, and now your host, Sherry Shepherd.
Thank you so much, Rolanda.
Okay, see you guys. I do a lot of things around my house. I've been doing it for years that a good man needs to be doing. Like paying a mortgage. Hi, I'm Rolonda Watts, and you're watching The J. Rob Show. He's so much fun.